Up next on Inside ChampCar, shooting cars. Welcome to Inside ChampCar. Brian Bielanski here. Bill Strong in the box above me. And I got the point right this time. The guy in the box over there, his name's Tom Beers. He does one of the hardest things in the world to do well, in my opinion. And that's coming from a guy who's taken lots and lots of pictures of cars at racetracks. Tom is a motorsports photographer. How you doing, Tom?
Doing really well.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. And
especially since he's on baby watching duty.
Or
baby delivery watching duty. I don't know what you call that. He's in any minute now. So before December, him and his wife. That's your first kid, right?
Yes, it is. It's my first kid.
Wow. Congratulations.
Life changes. I thought I'd get you on the show before your life changes.
Yeah, because you'll never be allowed to come back on afterwards.
Yeah. Not that we know that, right, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah, you become someone else's servant when the baby comes, and it's not your wife, by the way. That was my misconception. My misconception was when we had Alex that, oh yeah, I'll have to do whatever Leslie wants me to do, and then I realized no. The little thing is the one that's making all the rules all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm old enough not to say anything about anything anymore, so I'm just going to sit here and be quiet during all this.
Yeah. Well done. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
We ask the same question of everybody the first time they get on the show, Tom, and that is a simple one. How did you get mixed up in this crazy sport that we love?
I grew up about 5 minutes away from Daytona International Speedway.
Okay.
So watching racing as a kid with my dad.
Yep.
Going to the track, watching testing when they used to test in January. Then my first job was at Daytona International Speedway, and I continued there for a little over 10 years after that. So,
what were you doing at the famed world? What do they call it? There's a special title and I can never remember. I always get the one for Indy and Daytona.
World Center of Racing.
The World Center of Racing. Yes. What was your job?
My first job was at the Four-Turn Grill right there inside the Tours building.
Nice.
Flipping hamburgers.
Okay.
That was my first job.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And
it was the February of 2001. So it was a race to remember.
Oh my gosh! So you were there for the week for the race that Dale Sr. died.
Yes.
Wow, that's a trial by that's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah. While you've mentioned that, was it tough? Did you get to stay till the end of the race, or did they close the grill down early and you left early? What was the situation for you?
No, we were there probably till about 7 o'clock that night.
Okay.
So when they were making the announcement, I was still at the track.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't make the announcement until later. The race was over.
Yeah, the race was over for a couple hours.
I was just the reason I was asking is I was going to ask what was in the time after they ended the race to when they actually announced. I'm guessing very subdued, very somber at the racetrack. People understood something pretty bad had happened.
Yeah, everybody was just wondering what was going on.
Yeah,
kind of worried.
Yeah, just so we go to part of the awesomeness of Daytona is that when we put on a race there, there's a meeting that we go to that the management goes to prior, usually on Wednesday or Thursday. I forget what day it is now, but and we go through things like that, like what happens if this happens, what happens if that happens, what happens if lightning strikes, what happens if somebody gets hurt, what happens if they get really hurt, what happens if the worst happens, and there's a play for every single thing at that track, and everything is planned for, and what happens, who gets notified, all that cool stuff. Now most tracks, they probably have that written down somewhere, but it's not to the detail that Daytona does it. I mean, They are, Indianapolis was the same way. So it's, the top level tracks, it's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was at a Daytona 500 watch party with my wife. We were fairly newlyweds. I think we're a year or two into our marriage, and my wife's not a big racing fan. It was it's a party, so the atmosphere is great. You're having a good time. You're drinking a couple of beers, eating some food, and all racers. It was all racers at this party, and all of a sudden the atmosphere completely changed. We all walked out quietly. And no one said anything. And we're driving home. My wife looks at me and goes, "This is not good, is it?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't think this is very good."
yeah, I saw Schrader's reaction, and I was a big Kenny Schrader fan.
Sure.
And crazy is I got to meet him a couple years later.
Yeah.
But it's it was his reaction was like, yeah, this isn't good. And the TV cut away, and it's just like, oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we drove home. We were at my in-laws. Well, actually, right next door to where I live now, and we lived in Scottsville, Virginia, near Charlottesville. And driving home, got home, walked in the house, and outside, I think it was like 7 o'clock or so. That's when they kind of announced it all. Yeah. So, well, let's get back on happier.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
We don't always get the opportunity to talk about a momentous event like that with someone who was actually there. So,
and it kind of changed racing, even what we do.
Question.
It's the whole safety aspect of it. Trickled down, but it's all good in the end.
Does ChampCar require a Hans?
Yep, we were one of the first. Actually, we were the first amateur series. We were in way before the SCCA was requiring them. We required them really early on. I think the first few races they said you could use the little pad things. You had to have something around your neck, just like Lemons did, and then. My buddy and I actually watched a video of an MR2 wreck at Brands Hatch. They had an MR2 series over there, or still do. And it ended up a big car wreck. Car went up and over the catch fence and big injuries. Luckily, nobody else, just the people in the car. And we saw that, and it's like, holy crap. Hans device. So we went out and bought. We all got Hans devices right after that. It was our second race, Nelson Lemons.
Yeah.
Then ChampCar required them very early too. So
SCCA had them as a recommendation, but the sanctioning body of LCB, Leslie Cohen Bielanski, made it a requirement.
Yeah.
So that was one of those do what your wife says. So
we made it a rule on our team. We actually had a couple of them, and we just kind of shared them through the team. So. So
when'd you start shooting?
Yeah, that was
right around 2012.
Okay, how'd you get into that?
It's actually when I left NASCAR. I actually got to enjoy going to see and watch racing. I always enjoyed taking photos, but just never took photos of race cars, random stuff, rockets and shuttles and stuff going off, and went to Gorillaz and started shooting with I think it was a 3500 Nikon.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I shot with one of those for a long time.
Yeah.
So what did you shoot? Cars wise, just
before cars, I used to go down to the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, nice.
Away from me, and shoot rockets and cool stuff.
It's kind of cool. Did you watch today's shoot?
I did as much as possible when I was at the hospital.
Yeah. We I keep thinking I gotta go down there one of these days. We go to Harris Hill because it's in Texas, and I guess space down in Texas. So one of these days I'm going to head down there because that's got to be most impressive. I went to the Kennedy Space Center with Dana Morrison a couple of years back. First time I'd ever been there. Coolest thing ever because I grew up watching the space stuff back in the 60s. And saw some of the rockets that as a kid, you're watching these things take off, not just Saturn, but Gemini and the whole bit. And they're so tiny. I mean, little tiny rockets. It's just like, how did this work? Because they look so big on TV on the little 13-inch we had. But you look at the new SpaceX stuff, and it's just absolutely huge.
Yeah, they are building a Starship launch pad down there as well.
See, that'll be cool. That'd be really cool. So you've done spaceships, you've done cars. So did you go to any schooling to learn how to do the photography stuff, or did you just learn on the go like a lot of us have done?
Learn on the go.
Yep. Yeah, I took photography in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did did okay. You know, did track and field events and some sports stuff, and all in black and white, of course, because that's what you did in the 80s. Because there was no, or 70s, there was no such thing as color.
Yeah.
But you know, we developed our own stuff, and but yeah, it's and then Formula One. That was my first race I ever did. Was a Formula One race at Brands Hatch.
Wow.
And that was fun. Yeah.
Did you
Start
do that
big, man.
legally, or were you just standing on the sidelines as a spectator shooting it?
Well, back in 1982 at Brands Hatch, you could walk around the whole track if you had just the pit passes.
Right.
And, you know, you just knew not to go on the track.
Right.
Mhm.
Or the police guy would say, no, you can't stand there. But you had access everywhere around the track.
Okay.
And it was easy. It wasn't like today where they block everything off.
Right.
You know,
Right.
just, yeah. There's actually the race is on TV or on YouTube somewhere. I was watching it one day, and you can't see me, but I'm off to the side watching this car burn. And I got some really good photos of it. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, it's using 35 millimeter film where you only had 30 pictures you could take at one time. Yeah,
and you get like one shot that first time that is really good. It's like golf almost. You know, there's one shot per round that makes you think you can play the game, and that makes you keep coming back. So the first time you go shooting cars, which, as I said off the top, is one of the most difficult things to do well, to do consistently well, you get one or two shots that first time. And you and I started on film. I'm guessing, Tom, you started on the 3500, which is a digital camera. So you get a lot more practice that way because you could just let them fly. The issue there is editing. We'll talk about that in a bit. But what was your first race, Tom, that you did?
My first race would have been the 2012 Rolex 24 Hours.
Okay. So
starting at the top, man. That's the way to do it.
Did being part of the NASCAR family down there help you get into that first race?
Oh, well, I did it as a fan, so I bought my ticket and everything.
Got it.
But it did help me as far as knowing the whole layout of the racetrack, so I didn't have to try to find out on my own. I already knew about it.
So how humbling was that first attempt?
Very humbling. I learned it's a little bit harder to shoot cars when they're moving.
Yeah.
With a camera like this is what is it? Pentex Sportmatic. It's old.
Does it even have a winder?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, so you were shooting one shot at a time.
Yeah, that was I had an AE1 that I shot.
Okay.
I bought an AE1, Canon AE1. And then, you know, ultimately your first digital camera has got to be the Sony Mavic.
Oh, jeez.
Shot on floppy disks. You insert the floppy disk there. That was fun. This was actually a fun. Do a search for the V8 MR2 Bill Strong on YouTube, and you'll see the starting of my V8 MR2 for the first time. We shot it with this, and somebody said, "What'd you do? Shoot that with a potato?" Well, yes. Did you see shooting something? Wouldn't that be kind of fun? Have you seen, Tom, those guys that shoot like stuff nowadays with old gear like this, and just to see what kind of pictures they get from it? I saw an F1 race done up, or maybe it was a WEC race. Guy shot with old gear one day.
Did Bill, you're making it look like, I don't know if your gear or you should be in a museum.
Like kind of both.
So how long did you struggle? I mean, shoot with that 3500, because it is not the ideal camera for motorsports.
No, I think I did that for about a year and a half.
Okay.
But you don't know it.
No.
Right.
You just use the tools that you have.
Right. But you come up pretty quick and realize, oh, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
Not
your phone, not back then.
Yeah, there were no phones, even in 2012.
Yeah, with your flip phone doing this.
Oh, gosh.
Tried that.
So that first time at the Rolex, how many usable shots did you end up with?
Maybe a dozen out of probably 4,000 or 5,000 that I took.
Do you still have them?
Now,
yeah, I do. I have them on a hard drive somewhere.
Did that have an LED or LCD viewfinder?
Yeah.
No, that was a proper DSL.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It had the back, but it was a regular viewfinder when you look through the viewfinder.
I did that one time. It was an SCCA double up at Summit Point, and I took one of those brand new DSLRs at the time. I want to say it was like 2008, and had the LCD viewfinder. So you're trying to take a picture, and there's that delay, and every shot is only half the car because it's like, oh, I struggled bad with that camera.
Oh, that's good.
No, it wasn't.
No, the story's good. The experience probably wasn't.
Oh, jeez, sucks. So when do you now you shoot with what now? You shoot with Canon or Nikon still? Nikon.
Yeah, primarily with Nikon.
So when you so you then moved up to a better camera, obviously.
Now you E850s.
Yeah, okay. And those are actually pretty damn good cameras.
I still use them as my backup cameras.
Right. Okay. And of course, I think in motorsports photography, almost the lens is almost more important than what you're shooting body wise, because when you get to like the 850, that camera will do pretty much everything. It's just maybe just slightly slower than the $5,000 model. You're going to get maybe 5 or 6 or 8 frames per second versus 12. So, but the image quality is great. The megapixels are great. It's all about the glass. So when did you step up to your first 300 or 400 millimeter lens?
I would say probably around 2015.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I actually spent some money on a lens.
Yeah, that's a big game changer.
Yeah, it's all about the glass. So.
Yeah. And you don't know it until you try it. Rich Sonato let me borrow some lenses one day, and I was just like, oh, yeah, he's just cost me so much money.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, and then so you got good glass, good cameras. Now we've got the mirrorless cameras, and I know you have one of those. It's funny. I was shooting a soccer game, and a bunch of years back now. And the Nikon had just released their mirrorless camera, and I'm out there with my old Canon, I think 6i or something like that. It was whatever it was, and I'm sitting there click 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 click, and the guy with the local paper shows up with that new Nikon and just a million frames a second, and it was just never missed a shot. Got the most awesome shots with that thing, and and then I go out there now, and I've got a D5 or 5D, I don't know, 5D.
Yeah.
And he's out there with his Nikon, just again, a zillion. You get that picture, and I'm still sitting there in between shots. So, but I think that's the difference now. These cameras are just so good, and if you're already a really good photographer, it's just a tool that just makes you so much better.
Yeah.
And you can do video and then go straight to socials, because not only now is a photographer required to, you send out your resume to these guys, they hire you to do take pictures, but people just don't want pictures anymore. They want that social aspect, video, and look at me in the pit lane changing a tire.
Yeah, I found that I sold more stuff of the teams themselves rather than the cars. They all want the one shot of the car on the track doing its thing, but after a while, all those track shots look a lot alike. Here's my car at Daytona. Here's my car at Sebring, and it's still my car, and it's at a racetrack. But getting the crew members, getting the driver, and make sure you get the wives and the girlfriends, because they're the ones who are making the decisions on what to buy anyway, right?
Yeah, I find out with most of my teams just want a few photos of the cars on the track.
Yep.
Mostly the crew members and stuff happening behind the wall.
Most of them, they get back to work on Monday morning and they want to show their friends at work, hey, this is what I did all weekend. I'm a race car driver, and I raced at Daytona, I raced here, and I'm the local hero here, and whatever. That's what they want to do. And then they go back to their normal, boring job of filing papers and telling people what to do, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, good question here. What is your favorite track to shoot at that's not well known? You've done a lot of tracks this past year too. Not just road racing, but there's also dirt tracks. Road racing.
Probably the firm that's about an hour and a half away from me.
Yep.
Oh,
Cool.
They have like a Rally X, which I think is this weekend coming up. So it's part dirt, part pavement. I think that's one of my favorite non-popular tracks, just because of there's no walls to stand behind, really, no fencing, so it's just pretty much common sense. And
yeah.
you get
Yeah.
Mine is Franklin County Speedway. It's a little out in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. You know, you got to be careful. You hear banjos, and you know, it's crazy. And it was so much fun to shoot there. A little dirt, you know, a little, I don't know, quarter-mile track, if that. And yeah, it was crazy. That's the one I shot the picture. A guy's coming around a corner, hits a tire. He has his helmet on, but when the next frame, the helmet's gone off his head when he hit the tire wall. It's like, where the hell did his helmet go? Yeah, it was like craziness at that track, but it was so much fun. And the people there were pretty cool too. So, and have you done dirt track before?
no, I'm not.
Yeah, you got to try it one time, man. Just once, at least.
No, fortunately, the dirt track that's local to me, they have one photographer and nobody else.
Oh, one of those tracks. Yeah.
Basically, him and his wife only.
Yeah. I was in Oklahoma, and brother said, you know, there's a little dirt track over here. And, you know, was it Southern Oklahoma Speedway? And so I emailed them, said, hey, can I come out and take some pictures and just traveling around the country doing races? And they said, yeah, come on out. We'll talk to our photographer. And she contacted me and she said, yeah, come on out. So I took pictures for her and she ended up making money off of them. And I got some good exposure to my first dirt track. And that was a blast. Caught a fire. Nothing. That was actually when I found out, that was the race I discovered that every screw on one of my lenses that I bought used was loose. Because Sonato and a couple of the other guys could not figure out why every picture I took was blurry. And then once I tightened all the screws down on that, what was I using? Wasn't the 400? I think it was a 200. It might have been 200, 400 or something like that. But it was, once I tightened everything down, man, tack sharp.
Nice.
And so I'm taking pictures for like a year with half the screws coming loose off the lenses. But yeah, so what is NCMSP? NCMMSP. What is that? Somebody's asking. He used to shoot there. Motorsports. Oh, NCM Motorsports Park. Ah, okay. Yeah, I've shot there. Actually, NCM was kind of cool because you could walk completely around the track and get some really cool shots and spots. There was only like one thing between turns 3 and 4 where it had no guardrail, so you kind of had to walk behind the hill.
Yeah.
And then then there's a couple of places with spots there that you could photograph against the guardrail, and that's always fun. And that's a pretty cool track.
Yep.
So you've done a lot of endurance stuff. Do you prefer sunrise or sunset?
Probably sunset.
Okay. All right. I always, especially at Daytona, sunrise coming up over turn 3. It's kind of hard to beat that. I don't know about photo wise. You know, I just like getting up on top of the garages. They've got that little viewing area right there, and watching the sun come up with a hot cup of coffee, and hopefully it's not raining or too foggy for them to be going.
See, Daytona's kind of cool because you're right next to the ocean there, so
yeah,
that helps. At VIR, it's usually foggy, so you get that. I mean, you look at my Facebook cover photo. I took a photo there one year that it was just pure fog, and one of our staff was putting up the pit in before the race, and I just happened to snap the photo. It turned out to be I thought was a really good photo. But yeah, it's rare you get that, but you know, with the sun perfect and the highlights, and it was really good. Now, night photos. You like taking those? Because I enjoy taking night photos.
I do. They're a little bit more challenging, but I do definitely enjoy it.
Yeah. And so, all right. So, as a motorsports photographer, when we have an event coming up, say ChampCar, WRL, got an event coming up, teams racing, they contact you. you hire your services out to them. And how does that work? I mean, how does a team going about contacting you, and then what do you offer them?
Most of the time I'll post on one of the groups for, let's say, ChampCar Garage, and they can message me either through Facebook, or sometimes I'll give out my telephone number, or email. And basically I'll ask them just a couple questions about what they're looking for. Because you have some guys who just want a photo of the car on the track, or you have some guys who want, full coverage, want crew, they want them eating the hot dog as well, everything like that as well. So then I can kind of give them a price for what they're asking for. Then I'll talk about what to expect from me, that they'll get photos daily, how I deliver it, and basically just go back and forth, making sure I understand what they're looking for.
Right.
Because everybody's looking for something a little different.
Yeah. And then not only, so I don't know, I consider myself a photographer too. I'm not at your level, but I have a business doing it on the side. Haven't been able to do it much this year because of my job now, but as a photographer, it's a business. It's not just you just showing up and doing this on your own. So you've got to have business license, business, everything, taxes, insurance. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that you have to pay for to do this. Yep. It's not just showing up with your Instamatic and going, hey, here, give me $20. I'll take a picture of you.
Exactly. It's like my wife is always unhappy when I go to the track. She's like, wow, you're already $1,200 in the hole before you showed up to the track.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. Yeah, that insurance is the killer, but it's something you have to have. And we just went through a wedding, and I watched the wedding photographer do stuff, and I just thinking, God, that is one job I would never ever want to do, being a wedding photographer. Have you ever done weddings?
No, I refuse to.
Yeah,
smart.
I know as soon as they'll go, the husband and the wife will go to kiss for their first kiss, they'll stand right up in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So do you typically get hired by teams before the event, and then do you then like shoot everybody, and the rest of the stuff from that you get otherwise just kind of gravy?
I try to, depending on how many teams will hire me. Like Daytona had over 20 teams hire me, so I didn't shoot the rest of the field for that race.
Got it.
But if I'm only shooting 2 or 3 teams, then what I'll do is I'll go out there and I'll get the photos of their cars first.
Sure.
And I'll just pick key points on the racetrack and get photos of the rest of the field.
Cool.
And depending on how the race goes, and if it's only like a 9 to 5 race, and but if it's a little longer, then I'll get daytime shots, afternoon shots, and evening shots.
Sure.
And you're watching the whole race during this because we had almost a photo finish at Daytona this year.
Yeah.
And did you get that photo, or is that somebody else?
No.
Sorry.
I got that photo. And
nice job, Bill.
It was between both of my clients.
Yeah, it sucks. It's because you want that. Well, for me, it's like I'm standing here waiting for the ultimate spin because I know it's going to happen. I watched him do it 3 laps earlier, and I'm sitting there waiting. Ah, shit. So I need to go over here and do it. And as soon as I turn my back, the big one happens, or the ultimate spin, or the guy's 8 feet in the air, and you're just waiting for that AP photo to show, and it never happens. There's always that one photographer that gets those photos.
Yeah.
What's his name? IMSA photographer, Rich Sonato's buddy. He's a Georgia. That's his name.
We spent a lot of time on this show, Tom, waiting for Bill to come up with a name.
It's I'm old, man. I'll remember it. Somebody will bring it up.
How many races do you get to a year, Tom, typically? How many weekends?
I shoot probably about 90% of the ChampCar schedule.
Okay.
Most of the WRL schedule.
Austin Pittman.
Yeah, awesome. So I travel maybe around 50 events, 50 weekends.
So is this your full-time job, or do you do something else?
This is primarily my full-time job
Okay.
now.
Cool. Did you ever think that you'd make your life doing this? I mean, it's a grind, though. I mean, it sounds
It is.
awesome. I mean, and all of us who go to the racetrack love being there. I wouldn't
Mhm.
trade it for anything. But I 2 years ago I started doing it, getting paid to do it on a regular basis.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, we just finished our last race of the year last weekend, and I don't have another one till the second week in January. And I love it, but I'm happy to be home for 2 months. It's a grind.
It is.
And you drive most places, right?
Yeah.
There's something like, just like me. I don't like the flying part, especially with all my gear. It's hard. Speaking of which, all right, so I travel with gear, not just my own personal camera gear, but also ChampCar stuff. And it's a pain in the ass to travel now with all stuff on public transportation, airplanes and such. Yeah, I mean, I fly out of a small airport because rural, and they bring in these little tiny airplanes where the overhead is like a a Kleenex box, and here I am with 500 millimeter lens, and cameras attached to it, and you can't check any of this stuff with the airplanes. You could buy the absolute best camera bags, and I have some, my bags are $400 or $500 camera bags, and it's one of those things that they'll protect them. Well, they won't protect them from the gorilla at the airplane counter, and this is stuff you have to carry on. And there's been many flights that I've carried on 3 cameras with lenses attached, with other lenses packed into my pockets as I walk into the airplane, and they're just looking at me, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm checking this bag. There's no way I'm not checking these, So, and that's one of the problems, because these are the tools of your trade.
Yeah, it seems every time I do fly, TSA will always have to open up my case and handle everything in my case.
Yeah.
I also want it to make sure there's no explosive residue on anything.
Right.
And they're just sitting there holding it however they just want to hold it. And I'm like, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it.
Yeah. Well, my challenge is I also have to take my CPAP on the plane. So now I've limited myself to what I can take gear-wise. So I've had to learn to take a lot less than I used to, and I'm picking 2 lenses, I'm picking 1 or 2 bodies, and my laptop. So, it's a challenge. And it's a lot of weight. My God,
Yeah.
If I don't screw up my back before I'm 60, I'll be very lucky.
So the funny story is Jimmy Letchworth, our equipment guy, goes to the airport, and we can check most of the stuff, but we cannot check the transponders. The transponders is a briefcase filled with, I think, 50 blinking and charging transponders. So he said, when the TSA guy opens it up, all he sees is these blinking red lights on it. 50 transponders blinking, and you see Jimmy said his eyes got like this big, and he goes, "What are these?" And so basically, they just went. He explained what they were, and the way that Jimmy does, and they had to go through and bomb swipe it, and they let him on with it. But that's here, Jimmy. Take these for me. Take them on the airplane.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's funny. But you go back to the laptop bit, and it's a lot of this stuff is you can't just take one, because again, your job, if one fails, you have to have a backup.
Yeah.
We once had a team that was, or a company that was photographing for us at VIR, not for us, but photographing, and they brought out their their cameras, and it just poured and poured and poured, and they weren't ready for the rain, and they lost cameras, they lost just all kinds of stuff. And when you've got paying clients, they don't care about what you lost. They just want their pictures.
Yeah. And like ChampCar, Bill, you have like Canon and Nikon factory support at all your races, right? Like
yes,
at the Indy 500, like at the
I don't
Daytona
know about
500,
him, but
right?
I do.
Okay.
I pay for the platinum or whatever it is, but no, you don't get it at the race. I get it before, maybe, if I want it. But yeah, again, you got to pay for this stuff. You don't get it for free.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been in National Geographic yet. But Yeah, it's this stuff's hard, and you've got competitors out there.
Oh yes.
Everybody with a camera wants to do it, and not saying that everybody with a camera is not good. There are quite a few photographers that are good with us, and I try to vet a lot of them. And that's something that, as a older guy, photographer, that I want to see some young guys getting in, and a lot of racing enterprises won't let you be a photographer, like IMSA and NASCAR. You cannot just go and do it.
Right.
So, I saw some video of people at the 24, the Rolex, out there with their video or with their phones and stuff with media passes, and just what I've applied every year for that race, and I have real cameras and I take real pictures and I make real money at it. Yeah. And there's a guy with a phone, I guess, doing social media. I don't know.
Yeah, I see that every day.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks, but.
So what's your favorite part of the job?
Other than the people, I like traveling and just seeing different areas of the country.
Yeah.
But I enjoy all the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meet wonderful people in the racing.
So how many times a year do you get that signature holy shit shot? Oh wait, are we deep enough? I guess whether we're deep enough into the show or not, I get it.
We're good. Yeah, it's a holy shit shot.
How many times a year? Because I know the answer for me, and I don't when I was doing it a lot. But how many times a year do you get that shot?
Every race, right?
I wish.
Yeah.
Typically, it's races that we have some light changes in.
Okay.
Like, of course, the Rolex, because I have 12 hours of darkness to get a shot on. But like VIR for the 24.
Yeah.
Or any race that we go into darkness, I can usually manage to get a shot like that.
Yeah.
During the daytime, when you have like a 9 to 3 or 9 to 4, 9 to 5 race, it's kind of hard sometimes because every photo looks exactly the same.
Right.
Yep.
Unless you have some color changes like at Road America or places like that in the fall.
Yeah. Not just that, the cloud cover. Either too much cloud cover or not enough cloud cover. Just everything's washed out.
Right.
And the cars. Everybody shows up with a white or a black car. And it's just like, let's get some color. People say, why do you keep taking pictures of that car? I'm like, because it looks the best.
Yeah, exactly.
It's focusing so well, and just it works.
Yeah.
The background and yeah.
Well, and the best shot, everybody thinks the best shots are, the big rack or the car with that's had a rapid unintended disassembly of the motor, and that happens so infrequently in front of our cameras. and
behind you.
Yeah. So that's not what you're counting on for your signature shots. You can't. No. It's literally just being lucky. To get that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to I want pictures of my crew while they're working, while they're doing this stuff. And you got a guy that, during the week he's sitting there assembling widgets into wadgets and but right now he's jumping over that wall like an Olympic hurdler with a fuel can in his hand, and he's got a mission. And I think some of those photos are always the absolute best, especially when they're falling on their face. I'm kidding, by the way, but yeah, it's.
Wait, you've got a picture of me?
Well, I mean, that stuff happens. It happens in the pros too.
Absolutely.
It's just not us, but yeah, it's always great to get those photos of the guys doing their job, and the guys that wouldn't normally, get their pictures taken at the racetrack because they're just there. Hey, my buddy said, hey, come help me change tires or fuel or wash windows, and they love seeing their pictures up on the internet. It's pretty funny.
So there's two types of great shots. There's the one where you kind of know you got it, and you go back and you scroll through and you've got 10 shots. Okay, there's a great one because you saw it. How many times when you're photo editing, and let's get to photo editing for a second. When you get done, let's say with a ChampCar race on one day, when you get back to the hotel or wherever you do your photo editing, how many shots you got to look through? Ballpark.
Probably on average between 6 to 10,000 shots,
Okay.
depending on how many teams I have.
So you're flipping through 10,000 shots, which obviously you're not really flipping through 10,000 shots.
Wait, are you shooting in RAW?
Yes.
Or JPEG?
Really?
RAW and
Yep, both.
Do you typically go through just the JPEGs on the race weekends and then go back to the RAWs when you find the good one?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's hard to load all those RAWs in and go through them fast. Okay.
Hey, streamline it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So wait, how often do you find a shot that is just like, holy cow, but you had no idea you'd taken it?
I'd say probably maybe once a race.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly once a race. That's for the ChampCar. I mean, usually it's not on the track. Usually it's on pit road.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mine are those that car just shot like 8 feet of flame, but I missed it because the shutter was shut. I didn't see it, but the camera did.
Yeah.
So
usually for me, it's a facial expression or something that you might have 25 exact same shots of that person, but there's that one where there's an intensity or an emotion or something that you don't realize you're getting it when you get it. And then it's hard because if you don't go through most of your 10,000 shots at some point, you might never even realize you've got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's times where I haven't found that shot until a week or 2 weeks after the race.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm going to bring up some competition. So, I met a kid at my local dirt track.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been doing some drifting in the, what do they call it? It was drifting stuff. And, shooting the Friday night, Saturday night circle track, dirt track stuff. Timmy Emmanuel.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited him out to the 24. And it was the year before last. And said, go have some fun. And he had a plan. And that boy went out there and just shot some amazing photos. And it was funny because you and I shoot, there's a whole bunch of us out there. We shoot alike. There's a style out there that people want to see, and we tend to do that. He goes out there with this artsy feel and look to the opening the shutter for long times at night. And it was just like, oh my God, this is stuff I learned back in photography school in high school, things that we would do on film. And just blew me away at what he was doing, the artsy side of it. Now, that's not for everybody. A lot of people want, that's not something you throw up on a, in a news article or, a photo magazine. But, oh my God, it was just awesome. Did seeing things like that, does that kind of, how did he do that? Or bring back things that you did 20 years ago that may not be in vogue anymore?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Tony, he usually goes to VIR.
Yeah,
definitely. He does when he does the painting shots, and he'll take 35 shots and combine into one image so you get the stars and the cars. I'm just like, yeah, we do that, but awesome.
Yeah. That's something I haven't figured out yet.
Yeah,
the
lettering to stand there and wait for it.
Yeah. He got that. Was he the one that got that killer shot of the cars going up the S's at night that just everybody used for years? Yeah. I love that.
I follow a guy on Instagram. He's an F1 photographer, Kim Illman.
I do too. He mailed them a few times.
And what's interesting, he's an Aussie and he goes to all the different races and everything. And so you follow him too, Bill. I would say 95% of what he posts has nothing to do with what happens on the racetrack.
And that's his stick. That's his stick, though.
Yeah, it is.
This thing is behind the scenes.
But he puts, watches of F1, and he'll find people who have got fantastic watches, and he'll shoot people wearing their watches, or handbags of F1. Because F1's an event. It's a lot of people are there to be seen rather than to watch the race, but he's made a nice little living for himself, going out and doing. And I'm sure he's getting paid by influencer sponsors and that kind of stuff.
First of all, Kim Illman owned a big social media company in Australia.
Okay.
I mean, he's not. He's big time.
No, I understand.
He's got bank to be able to do what he does.
Sure,
He
sure.
decided one year, I'm done. I'm kind of retiring. My kids are doing the
Right.
business now, so I'm going to go out and shoot F1.
Right.
And yeah, you just can't do that. You have to. I mean, have you seen his because he does a video blog at all events. Just many, like 4 or 5 different video blogs, and he has his kid or his company is the one that does all the marketing for it.
Sure.
And then he'll put them up on YouTube, whatever. Great videos, but he does those. How much does this cost me to do this, or how much? What are? And it's more than I'm making a year just for him to like travel around to do to do this stuff. So
and he's flying business class and first class and But I think for that, because he's an influencer, I don't think he's paying for a lot of those tickets. I think Aer Lingus wants him to do that video on their plane, and
maybe. I mean, he might get a discount, but I think he's paying. I don't think he's getting away with it.
All right.
Sometimes he doesn't say nice things about whatever airline he's on.
Because everybody's paying for your travel, right, Tom? You're not paying any of that out of pocket, right?
No, not at all.
That's why we drive and buy gas at the worst gas stations ever. It might have water in it, but it's cheap.
I wouldn't have that many clients in ChampCar or even WRL if I charged for my flight.
Yeah. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I went out. Where was it? MSR Houston. That's all I did, and I didn't even cover my first fuel stop. Well, this sucks. It was a good experience.
How many miles did you drive this year?
Yeah.
Probably around 26,000.
Okay. That's a good year.
Huh?
I commute in LA. I've got almost that many miles just back and forth to work. No. That's a good amount. And you said you're out about 50 weekends, right?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Must have an understanding wife.
Yes. Very much so.
Now, you got a kid on the way. Is that going to change the amount you're going to travel?
Maybe
short term?
Some of those smaller races I probably won't go to.
Okay.
But I'm still making it all to the larger ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just have to choose wisely when it comes to the smaller track.
Absolutely.
Well, there'll be a point when you can take your kid to the racetrack too.
Yeah. But
they sell those little headphones.
Does your wife travel with you to some of the races?
She goes to AMP with me.
Okay.
Because we'll stay up in northwest Georgia the week after. But other than that, no, she's not a race fan at all.
Yeah. Same in my family.
Same here.
So
yeah,
it's our thing, my thing. So cool. So if someone wants to hire you, how do they get a hold of you? And we'll put all this in the show notes if they're not already there.
Either through my website. There's a contact form on my website.
Okay.
It's tombeersphotos.com.
Okay.
Or just go through any of my social media.
Got it.
Not my personal page, because I rarely ever check that one.
All right.
Yeah, I know that.
Because I get so many invites, spams, and everything else.
Sure.
So I just don't pay attention to that. I'll pay attention to my page or stuff like that. But
awesome.
I end up going through I think there's 5 or 6 contacts I have for you, and I just get you get one of them, and it's always a different one each time. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So Tom is a regular at our event, so he always has approval for media with ChampCar, and that's going into 2025 as well. We also have a couple other photographers that join us. But yeah, if you want to come out and learn how to do photography and learn, then ChampCar is a good place to start. We do vet you. We just don't want anybody showing up without having somebody to help. Have you ever helped a photographer? Young person.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's kind of rewarding. High school kids are always the best. I think they're just like little sponges, and Doc Waldrop. Remember Doc?
Mm-hmm.
So Doc was a professional photographer at one point in his life, and took photos for Volkswagen magazine. Chris Economaki, I think it was he worked for Chris Economaki as the publisher.
Very cool.
And yeah, he said that man was very demanding. And when you were shooting the Rolex, you were expected to have a roll of film, I guess, every hour sent up. And that was back when at the Rolex, he said that you could sprint to the island from turn whatever coming out of the infield. You'd go there, and then when the corner worker said go, you'd sprint as fast as you could across a hot track, to get to the island, and then you'd take your photos from there too. But he had some awesome slides photography that he had. I think his kids have them now. His son has them. But of the GTP cars,
yeah,
the Porsches and whatever, just inches from them as he's taking the photos with his 35 millimeter film camera.
Well, and back in the day, if you were shooting for like a Sports Illustrated or a color publication, you were shooting chromes. You were not shooting film, and and that's even more skill, because processing chromes is really expensive. So your publisher does not want you to screw that up.
No.
And if you were shooting for a newspaper, you get to shoot black and white, so you could spend a little bit more money on that because you're probably processing your own film anyway.
Yeah. Plus, you could roll your own and put a little bit more than you really should in there, and did that many times.
Yeah, you can only go so far though.
You start scratching it, but yes, that's true. But black and white was so much easier. Have you ever developed your own film?
Never have.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's something I'm seeing that kids are starting to do again. It's kind of coming. These old Pentexes, the X1000s or whatever. This is an old Spotmatic F, worth all of I think $20. But yeah, it's that old film stuff's coming back a bit. It'll be kind of cool to see what happens.
There is a group out here, a photo group, and it's not for sports, but just for general stuff. And they do a really cool thing. They do a couple times a year a photo walk, and the rules are you have to shoot like you're shooting film. So when you go back to process, all you're allowed to do is basically crop and dodge and burn. So you're trying to get it right in the camera. And you're only allowed to take 36 photos.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we just have a blast with it. I haven't done one in several years, but you're given 36 shots, and then basically you go on the photo. You go on Saturday, and then on Saturday night, and then on Sunday you post them up on wherever the posting is, and it really takes you back to making you work hard to get it right in the camera. So one of the things I did here last year was I would challenge myself to certain things. And one of them was my wife had a conference in DC in the wintertime. So I decided I'm going to go to DC and I'm going to just take black and white photos. Yeah.
And I just set my camera to black, my DSLR to black and white or black or whatever monochrome. And just did that. And I had so much fun because you're looking for light and shadows. And I've thought about doing something like you say here. We could do like the VIR 24. At these certain hours, I'd like to have all the photographers black and white only.
Yeah.
Or, just something artsy at these times and kind of have a competition. And I think that'd be kind of fun to do. Or not a competition, but an exhibition.
Yeah.
Of their photos that they took during those hours. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about something like that for next year because EIR and Daytona, we usually have a lot of photographers. That'd be kind of cool to do is, showcase different photographers and their styles.
I love square format cameras. So whenever I'm shooting nature or landscapes, I shoot in square format, even though I'm using a digital camera. But I try to frame it so that it will look great in square format, and that's how I photo edit everything in square format. I just love trying to challenge myself to do that kind of stuff. So it's fun. There's so many different things in photography you could do, on a case-by-case basis and to make yourself work a little harder and learn a new way of doing things. Yeah. So,
and that's it, just learning new and remembering to do things.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was things I learned in back in the 1978, 79 that you forget. You just don't do it anymore. They just don't do that stuff. And then I see this kid come out there and doing the same stuff we were doing back then. It's like, oh my God, how did he do that? It's like, click, oh, why am I not doing that? That looks so cool. You know, it's not, of course, nothing's easy. You just don't go out there and you do it. So, yeah.
All right. Fun. So before we let you go, I have two questions. First, what are 3 absolute no-nos that a photographer should never do at the racetrack?
Walk on the track.
That's a good one.
I have a story there. We had a photographer from Italy that came out at Road Atlanta and had the equipment, had the contacts, and walked right out on track right in front of me. And that was when I first became the media director of ChampCar, and that was the first race of the year, and I got to kick a guy out of the event. That sucked.
All right, there's one. Number 2.
Turn your back on the racetrack.
Okay, another good one.
Especially when you're near it, and not paying attention to your surroundings.
Okay.
No matter where you're at, if you're in a paddock, pit road, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Or do not climb under the bridge at Road Atlanta to get the money shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble.
You laugh. People try that stuff.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure. I'm sure.
You know, they try to get into places. We've had it happen with us. It's like, why is he out there?
Yeah.
Actually, I had it happen to me at New Orleans. You know, tell Bill to get out of there. There's gators over there. I'm like, but it's the best shot.
Of course.
But there's alligators. Get the hell out of there.
All right.
Yeah.
So then my last question is 3 things you will never go to the racetrack without that have nothing to do with a camera body or a lens.
Hydration.
Okay.
Sunscreen.
Got it.
And
a hat.
Something probably to cover my head. So hat, sunglasses, like that.
Yeah, I like those hats that have a little thing on the back of it, and then also arm protectors.
Yeah. That's why I wear a long sleeve every time.
Contractor bags for me. You could use them as rain gear for your camera, for your body, for you could put your camera bag into a contractor bag. Not just the regular hefty bags like you use, but the actual honest to God cost an arm and a leg contractor bags. So that's my one thing. So
and gaffer's tape. I mean, there's gaffer's tape because you got to be able to tape that stuff up. And you know, waterproofing. That's the hard. You know, we buy this gear and it's waterproof. You know, it's professional gear. But
what's waterproof?
the reality is none of it is, and sometimes it can be so humid, and you're taking photo. Why? How did that humidity get on the lens on the inside? You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So,
and I use a lot of rechargeable batteries, even AA's and AAA's, but I always carry some regular old-fashioned alkalines because you just never know.
What are those? We don't have cameras that take those.
No, but lots of other things do. Lots of other things do. My headlamp, you know, all that kind of stuff.
That's another thing. Night racing is forgetting a little flashlight, and of course, all you have is your phone. So you got to use the 8 million candle power light that is on it. And of course, once you get done what you're doing, can't see for 10 minutes, and you've lost the shot.
Especially the DIR when you're having to use your little flashlight to try to use the gate codes to get through the gate.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's not. Yeah, there's other tracks like that too for night. Yeah. Just that you can have too bright a light sometimes, and then don't use flash at a racetrack because the drivers tend not to like that. I've done it at like Nelson Ledges where the cars are going by you, trying to get sort of the lit, you know, as they go by you. So you're not really flashing the car, you know, that's too far away. They might see it in their mirror or whatever, but it's not blinding. I don't think. At the time, I didn't really care because I wanted the shot, but did it work? Not what I expected. I wanted something a little different. Just playing around and learning.
Yep.
And I think that's something that, there's photographers out there that want you to do things a certain way. And if you're getting paid for that and they're telling you to do it a certain way, then yes. But, and that's kind of, I think a lot of photographers, that's what they do. They get those shots out of the way. And then once they get those shots, and it's like, I'm going to screw around and kind of get those artsy photos, the ones that aren't focused, the ones that aren't focused or blurry, that's my artsy photos.
Yeah.
I do that on purpose. I do.
Gotta get those shots you get paid to take first, then you can do the artsy after that.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
all right, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, man. And I know you're gonna have a good year, and you're especially with your new baby on the way, and get lots of pictures because your first one you get 1 million pictures. The second one you get a couple thousand. The third one, it's like, where the hell are the pictures? They didn't like me. Yeah. So.
All right. Cool.
All right, man. Thanks
a lot. Have fun. Appreciate it. Good luck with the incoming delivery.
Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Quickly here, we have some news for ChampCar. So VIR is coming up. The North Race VIR on the I forget what we call it now, but yeah, the North Race here in a couple of weeks, or maybe it's a week. It's coming up quick. They let us know tonight that they are having some sort of super secret thing going on the evening of Sunday, which is after our race is over. They would like everybody to be out of the track at 6 p.m. I've updated the supplementals, and we've set it out over socials. So please. That gives you 2 hours to get out of the track. So we'd like you to do that. The other thing is we have the board of directors election going on tomorrow morning. Most of you will get a email about that. Go ahead if you got to be a full member to vote, which is got to be paid up $75 for the year. Go ahead and vote, please, and let's choose 3 board of directors for the upcoming 2 years. So get that done. What else we got going on? Sebring getting close to being sold out. So if you're on the fence about going to Sebring, better hurry up. That's usually a sold out race by the time Christmas gets around here. So don't be surprised. That will be one of those races that you just can't show up and race at. You've got to be pretty much paid up before you get there.
Okay.
So sign up for that race, and then the registration on the new MSR for 2025 Motorsports Reg is going well. We've got over 3,500 people signed up over there, members, and which is great. And every day we're getting more and more. We got teams making their cars out. Andrew's putting together some videos and instruction sheets to sort out what we're seeing guys are doing wrong or what they're doing correctly. So we'd love you guys to do that as well. Get that taken care of. And then the Road Atlanta, we're still kind of sorting out the tech side of the tech inspection. We had one in place here last week. It turned out that Motorsports Reg couldn't get it to work exactly like we thought it would, or they thought it would too. So we ended up redoing it, and now it's actually into your car build. So you're going to have to go in and do your tech through that section, and we'll put together some instructions next week on that.
Sure.
But if you've already done your tech sheet for us, Motorsports Reg is going to transfer that stuff over. So don't worry about having to redo it again.
Okay.
So yeah, we're trying to get everything done in Motorsports Reg. We're probably one of the only sanctioning bodies that does the points and the VPI and stuff like that. So it's a little different with us. We're trying to get it all done in one registration system. So it's they've been so helpful
cool.
at getting us where we're at now. So which is awesome. So but yeah, hopefully it's not exactly like our system was in the past. We've got, as ChampCar, we have to kind of put that off to the side, and this is what we're going to work with now, and we'll get it tweaked and sorted perfect for us. So, but in the end, it's gonna work out good for us. The security of your data is top notch, and that's ultimately one of the reasons why we did all this. So,
sure.
Yeah, and we moved us into the 21st century.
Love it.
Yeah. but yeah, once we hopefully after next weekend, we're having our little meeting with all the directors, and we're going to be sorting out some of our schedules and some of the more details on the 2025 season on the management side of it. And once we get that done, then we'll start opening up the rest of the 2024 event or 2025 events. And because I get emails daily, when can I enter Daytona? Well, it's going to be a bit. We want to get one race done, or at least sorted out, so that we can figure out what we need to do right. Because I don't want to send out a whole bunch of hey, you guys, here, enter all these races and then find out we've been doing something wrong. So and we want to get it right the first time.
Cool.
Much like this tech thing. So all right. I think that's it.
All right. Sure.
But yeah, I think we got 2 races left for the year, and holidays coming up. Hopefully you guys get some good gifts, some racing gifts, of course. Those are always the best.
That's right.
So, all right, that's it. I think we're done.
We're done then. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you share it on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page. We have new episodes every week. I'm Brian Bielanski. He is Bill Strong. Bill, we'll see you next week.
Next week, man.
That's right. You guys go have fun and go play with cars.